Thank you so much for giving me today the floor, and I'm thrilled to be with you today with this great panelist, and it's an honor to share with you this floor. Maybe I will talk about space medicine, just an overview. Let me start sharing my presentation. So maybe about space medicine, I'm not a doctor. I'm a clinical pharmacist, specific in ICU specialty, and I'm a space supporter. And it's my hope to want to become one of the key players that will be shape the future of human space exploration and the key player for the humanity to be a multiplanetary species someday. So, but today my talk will be oriented in three directions: an overview of space medicine and a general idea, and much more about my clinical specialty as a healthcare practitioner, what I do specifically in the space field, and how can I contribute to Africa and the African Space Agency with this field. And lastly, we will finish about why or choosing space medicine as a career, is it worth it or not, especially after the new normal that we will face because of coronavirus. Just as an overview of space medicine, in space medicine, it's huge. So I will cover some points of this many branches under this space medicine. One, we will cover some countermeasures that that we face in space because of microgravity and extreme radiations that we will face in the new environment. Once we start a human space flight, there is a major challenge that we will face in the vestibular systems, the cardiovascular systems, the musculoskeletal system, and the most effect that we will expect is from the radiation. And I will finish with my lovely ones, medicines in space. It's my specialty. So when we talk about space motion, space the vestibular system, just pick one of the topics that already just we study in the effects of microgravity in the vestibular system. Once you go inside space, you will be in a new way that your physiology is not fitted to it. So you will counter microgravity. So once you in this new condition, your mind can't imagine what's the new situation you are right now. So you will develop something like space motion sickness, just like the same that happens in the sea, but it's another way because of the microgravity, and you are losing the concentration of the orientation itself in the space. So it's one of the topics that we will study in effects of microgravity on the vestibular system. And the second one, the cardiovascular system. The cardiovascular system, mainly what changes in this system and the microgravity is flow shift. Flow shift occurs because of your body is not fully shift because it's not in one G force, because microgravity, or even once you are talking about space exploration, you are want to land on Moon or Mars, you will expect another decrease in the gravitational force. So your body fluids will be shifted to your upper body, specifically to the central central circulation and your head and the chest. So this can affect the physiology, the normal physiology of the cardiovascular system as known, that will affect the kidney functions and dramatically even, and will affect also your muscle, heart muscle, because it's and it's another way of pumping blood in these conditions that affect the heart muscle itself, the cardiac muscle. Another topic in the space medicine, we face another challenge once we are talking about musculoskeletal system. We notice that because of microgravity conditions, you will develop a muscle atrophy because you don't use your full muscle strength in these new conditions because of the microgravity that we will counter in the new way. So your brain starts to send your muscles, it's not fully functioning, and it will lose its function and its strength. So it will lead a muscle atrophy. Also, because you don't lean on your bone so much in these new conditions, you will develop also some sort of osteoporosis, or the cause that lead to this because some happen way of bone decalcification on to osteoporosis because also of the microgravity conditions in space. So we tended to counteract this muscle atrophy and bone loss with exercising condition, specific exercising routine in space. On the ISS, all the astronauts have to do some workout like for 2 hours a day to just overcome the challenge or to decrease the difficulty or the effects that will happen on their muscles and bones in space. So they tend to exercise for almost 2 hours per day. So we also counter the radiation effect of the space environment. One most important here is the coronal mass ejection. If you are talking in this like those days, NASA wants to land on Moon by 2024 and even go beyond to land on Mars by later. Maybe according to SpaceX, he wants to start May 2024 or later on. So we will not expect some extreme radiations, specifically from the coronal mass ejection and the cosmic rays in our journey to Mars. But if you are talking about landing to the moon, and we have like previous trips to moon, like in Apollo era, in the Apollo era, we don't expect too much specifically from the coronal mass because the journey itself, it lasts for 10 to 12 days. So you can just bypass the coronal mass but ejection and the cosmic rays. But if you are talking about you want to go beyond the moon and to land on Mars in a journey that will last for 6 months at least. So you can expect a high dose of these extreme radiations that will affect your basically the DNA, and it will lead to a high risk of developing cancer upon coming back to Earth. Even we expect long effect of these radiations that affect also the sterility of the human beings that will face this 6 months journey to Mars. This is about radiation. So the lovely one to me is the medicines in space. So if you are talking about space medicine, I love this topic. And if you are talking about medicines or drugs, how we will formulate the dosage forms that can counteract these extreme conditions of the radiations and the microgravity, especially on the normal ways that we live on Earth. We have many challenges in the formulation of the drug to work specifically to reach its target and to get the most beneficial effect of this therapeutic effect of the drug. So we face mainly 2 challenges if you are talking about medicines in space. One part is oriented about drug formulation and stability, and the other part is oriented about pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamics alterations of the drug itself in your body. The drug formulation and stability, we tended to use to formulate our drugs in the way that we use to, like whatever the formulation you tend to, tablets or IV or suspension solution, whatever the dosage forms that will end up in this normal conditions, we face a lot of difficulties to make it stable for 2 years. So once you are talking about a journey to Mars that will last at least for 6 months to go to Mars, and the control supply will not be available. So you are talking about extreme conditions that will threaten the whole budget and the whole journey of that we are looking for. So we tend to look forward for new dosage form and formulations that will be stable in such extreme conditions. But we will still in the very, very beginning, if you are talking about the new formulations that will be stable in such conditions. But on the other hand, if we can reach to this, this can also affect the drug market dramatically, because this means that you in the normal market of drugs and space on our earth, this means that you have reached a more novel dosage forms that can last for a shelf life for more than expected reality and that we have today. So it changes the economics of drugs. This is so I'm so interested in drug formulation and stability and how to counteract this. The other hand, the pharmacokinetics and the pharmacodynamics of the drug. If you are alterations that will happen, the pharmacokinetics or how the drug will affect your body in the space. It's phases. It's ADME process. We call it ADME processes from the drug absorption in your body, and so through distribution and metabolism and excretion of the drug. All of these different 4 stages will be altered in the new conditions of microgravity and extreme radiation. So we can expect that we will not have the same therapeutic effects that we already being expected on Earth is the normal conditions. Also, the alteration of the pharmacodynamics of the drug. Once we change this, the absorption and distribution, and the drug reaches its target of site in your body, we expect an alteration of the mechanism of action that the drug will exert to do its therapeutic effect in space, because the binding of drug molecules to the receptor is not the same because of the altered conditions. The protein expression of the cell, it's also altered. So you can say we are facing a challenge here from the drug stability itself, the dosage form, and the pharmacokinetics and the pharmacodynamics of itself. So it's still we don't have enough data because we don't go beyond moon and only on the ISS. There is only 6 astronauts will change every 6 months. So if you are trying to just have a human trial on a new drug formulation or mechanism of action, you need to have these trials at least for 4 phases, and we expect a lot of patients or a lot of volunteers to be involved in this study. So we still in the very, very beginning in the medicines or drugs in space that will for sure change our perspective of pharmaceutical industry on our normal days. So let's go on my work, especially. I'm working as clinical pharmacist specialized in ICU, and recently I joined an R&D lab in the Farco Corporation here in Egypt. We are currently trying to formulate new dosage forms that will be launched by September to just counteract or make a profit from the chronic crisis of corona. We are intending to introduce to the market new antipyretics and antibiotics, but we hope to launch it by September. So this is mostly what I'm working right now, and I'm doing my master's degree in biotechnology, but my area of interest in the drug in space and in neuroscience and how we can manifest or how we can realize the disease in a new way to get more into the disease itself, like Alzheimer's disease. It's one of my area of interest. Also, I am SGAC Regional Communication Manager for the Middle East. I'm an active volunteer in the space medicine life science and project group. We are working also under the SGAC, active member of aerospace medicine student and resident organization, AMSRO, and the founder and leader of its regional chapter based in Alexandria, Egypt, Space Medicine Association, SAMA, and the leader one, ASMA Aerospace Medical Association based in the US. If anyone interested to go through this field, these are the most leading organization and in the world. So you can go through this, any one of these. Also, I have a long journey with the space from, I think, from 2014. I participated in many space-related topics and workshop conferences around the world. So let's talk about our webinar if we want to benefit Africa from my research or space medicine research. In Egypt, we launched or established our new officially recognized the space 9 months ago. And I managed to get high-level officials of them to negotiate about necessity to establish our own space medicine program in Egypt, as it will be the first one to be established in Africa and the Middle East. So we wanted to lead this topic in Africa and the Middle East, and also benefit Africa, because if you are talking about space medicine and how you can engage the different people in this topic in like a continent like Africa, we already don't have enough pharmaceutical industries that can saturate our drug market in Africa, or we will tend to train our African people on the most extreme conditions that we can manifest into the human body and the new ways of this. And we are doing great progress in this project, and we just need the final approval of the high official in Egypt here to start our project. Also, we are working in the legal part to finish the establishment of the Egyptian Space Medicine Association, and after we declare the establishment of it, we're looking forward to establish the African Aerospace Medicine Association and the Arabic Aerospace Medicine Association as well. Also, I raise the point of the necessity to establish the Aerospace Medical Institute that will work under the African space agencies that will be hosted in Egypt, to lead this field in Africa, that will enable all the African countries to go through this new emerging field, because we already sitting behind in the different topics of space. But if you are talking about an emerging one, why you don't go through it and become the leader in the world in this specific topic? So it's mainly about myself and what we can benefit to our Africa. So if you are talking about space medicine, or to choose it as a career, if you can mainly through 4 different career paths. You're doing a basic research from understanding the alterations that happen to the physiology, or even some disease specifics that will how to know it in the new conditions of micro. Another questions to us to go in detail of the pathology of the disease and extract or develop a new novel drugs that can even cure this drugs. There's also potential of basic research that is already doing. We are doing on ISS about the cancer and in the early stages of it. Also, some other interested in the neuroscience, you can just choose another career path to be applied surgeon. It's well recognized the specialty in NASA, and also to become a space medicine specialist. It's only in US and the UK with the full recognition as a medical specialty of medicine, or even to go astropharmacy. Astropharmacy, it's just emerging career, so you also can go through it as well. So this is an overview about what I'm doing and also about space medicine. And excuse me, it's a very, very large topic to be covered in just only 15 minutes. Thank you so much for listening and looking forward for your question.
Thank you, Mr. Ahmed Baraka, for this amazing presentation. And we arrived at the end of our very grateful and pleasured presentations. Ms. Ahmed that shared a little bit of what we call, I'll say that Earth is the cradle of humanity, but we can't still always on this cradle. So we need to go further, and to go and to do that, we need to know about astrophysicists, as Mr. James told, then know why we are going to that, and when we know why we are going and where to go and how to do that, we need to survive to this environment that is very, very way different from our Mother Earth. So Mr. Ahmed will just pick one of the questions from I will just see here, Mr. James Chibueze, that wants to know how astronauts deals with the radiation field after the space travel or during that.
Really, if you are talking about space radiation, specifically right now, we have as the ISS. If you are talking about as the ISS, there is no risk of the extreme radiations that we are talking about that can develop cancer or can develop a long-term effects like sterility or some topics of some difficulty of such disease that can counter, because you still somehow in the atmosphere itself that can shield some of the away from the corona eruptions that can happen from the sun. So it's not a huge risk on the current astronauts. We are looking forward to counteract this once we have to go to Moon or to Mars, especially to Mars. The long journey to Mars, it's 6 months, and we still, this is the most challenging part to us to have the safety of our astronauts in this journey. We didn't develop a great countermeasure that can provide a high efficiency shielding from radiation, but still we are trying to work, and this is one of the most challenging part to us.
Okay, thank you very much. I think Mr. James could receive, but if there is some other questions or some other things that still having no answer at all, we will use the chat until the end of the meeting. And if someone more, and then we will pick all the questions that were not answered and share with our speakers so they can have more and more time to answer properly and with more detail if they have the possibility. Now I'll just, before we finish, I will leave you with Ms. Anne Aggie and Nelly so they can kindly say some very good words to at the end of this this first day of African Space Careers. Thank you, everyone. Nelly, it's with you.
Thank you very much, Marco. Thank you so much, Ahmed, for that very insightful and educative presentation on space medicine. We have learned a lot.